Here, let me check in with Venus and Adonis. I still haven't filmed my main review yet. The main host, Steve Donahue, who is going to talk about William Shakespeare's Venus and Adonis on his channel, has actually dropped his video, but I have resisted the urge to actually watch that because I know if I watch it, it will color whatever my reaction is. And I might film my reaction, then watch Steve, and then potentially react to that as well. Um, but what have I got to say? Um, it's you see, this is the thing is like I've got stuff, but I'm afraid it's gonna get all jumbled. I started listening to it while going through the text and kind of making notes, and just the idea of this is kind of an erotic epic poem which doesn't have consummation at the end. That you start off the poem knowing there's not going to be consummation, that Adonis is going to get killed by the end of it. There's very direct pointers within the poem at the very beginning about if you die, life, love itself would die. A lot of hints at the beginning, just reminding the audience this is Adonis, he's going to die. Um, and it's very much the kind of the courtly love thing, but it's reversed because you have the female Venus pursuing the male Adonis, and the Adonis definitely is kind of being kind of all maidenish. Um, Adonis, it's interesting, like the whole kind of courtly love thing. It's like Venus being super obsessed with him. It's like, well, he is the product of an obsessive, God inspired obsessive love, of incest, of his mother being cursed by Venus to um, you know have sex with his grandfather and produced him. So you can see his resistance to her is maybe not too surprising. Um, and there's just sort of this thing of like, I'm also very young, fuck off. Um, but and Venus is fucking charming. She is, like, her things are, she's very erotic in her talks, as well as stuff like, well, you're so beautiful that beauty's duty is to beget itself. And sort of a thing of like, what is beauty but a kind of an urge to procreate, a thing, like a primal thing to procreate. And Adonis is kind of has these responses of, "Hey, I'm unripe," and what it's like, riding a horse before it's fully developed. You'll break the horse, um, and also just the thing of like, you know, this is lust that you're feeling, not love, and that's not cool. This I should get. I'll circle back to that one when I actually have my textual stuff. Um, and we get, and he does reject her and says, "I'm going to go hunt the boar," and she warns him, "Don't hunt the boar. She's had a vision that you shouldn't. It's going to end badly." And indeed, the boar. It's like, actually not out of avarice, but out of pure lust over him as well, or love over him as well, gores him in the groin with its tusk, which is a very, um, uh, it's like a phallic insertion into this gorgeous, almost so gorgeous, not even a male. So the ultimate thing where there's like, he has a consummation, but it's a consummation of death at the end instead of life. Um, it does seem to be like kind of a very ambivalent poem, and it's also just an interesting poem in the context of a of a time when is it actually being a positive thing about courtly love that the object of the wooing dies? I mean, I guess it's the unconsummated love which makes the love all the much more hotter. But there's also, it's an ambivalent poem. It definitely is. Like it's like, does it actually? It doesn't. I don't know if it actually endorses this kind of obsessive courtly love. Um, yeah, yeah. So it is an interesting piece of work, and just like taking a look at it as a dramatist, it's like actually I do get a sense of Adonis's character. I do get a sense of Venus's character, of these being um, of these being people. Even though you're not supposed, they're supposed to be, it's the allegorical, but there's enough that in it that it's like kind of comic, that it's like teasing and erotic, as well as serious, and it goes through a whole bunch of different registers. It flips and flaps back and forth, and then we have the whole thing with the horse love in there, of like animal love. um, so there's all the sort of different types of loves in this poem as well. It's Shakespeare really does like to pull things apart and show things in a multifarious sort of way, and sort of leave it up to the reader to decide, I guess. In that way, that's going to do him so well for his plays. Like, it's going to make them live in a way that if he was more imposing his will, it wouldn't. It's like he's great at just sort of opening things up and trying to get you to think about this poem, because there's a part of it. It was like, he's just, it's a goddess who's assaulting this poor young boy, but um, you do actually care about the goddess, and there is a sort of a kind of a truth of love. Not that you may not that I'm saying you should act on desire, but you can't. There's some ways that you don't have, like, how much control do you have on who you love? That idea. And you can see that kind of a sympathy of, like, sometimes you love people that you shouldn't love. And you know and it's miserable. And Venus at the end of this has this whole kind of a curse thing here of how foolish and dumb and stupid and brave and cowardly, and all these different things that love can makes people. And it's sort of a curse. It's a curse for what's happened to her, what's happened to this goddess of love, that she's lost this beautiful boy that she loved and that she desperately wanted, and that she lost to death. That death takes us all. And I mean, she does make the argument in this poem of, like, you should love now, because you don't know, you are going to die, and your beauty is going to fade too, I guess, as well. Which, there's the whole don't love me for me myself, love me for my beauty. There's that as well. So okay, I obviously I got a lot to say about this poem. And hopefully I'll be able to semi-replicate or organize and give myself a little bit more textual stuff to share that enthusiasm in a video tomorrow, which I could then hopefully quickly release along with a video, that my night video of Romeo and Juliet, unless I just decide it's just too frivolous to actually release, in which case I'll just keep it for my private channel to clutch to my chest and treasure always. All right, more videos later.